Hello, I'm Hilary Hahn, and I'm here with...
Andris Nelsons, I'm the conductor.
We're backstage in Hyōgo. We just finished a tour, and I just wanted to ask you a couple questions. We finished a signing with like 300 people, so we're a little bit tired. Basically, I wanted to know, how did you get into conducting and all of that stuff in a nutshell?
Yeah, it is quite complicated because, as I think, the profession of conductor is very mystic. You know, because for example, you play violin, you practiced it many years, and you have your instrument and you play, and you go with your instrument to different places. But as a conductor, you actually don't perform any note yourself. So it is all trusting into the people who you're working with the orchestras you're working with. And of course, there's a big part, whether you're a music director with your orchestra, or you're a guest conductor, or do you know the orchestra well enough to, you know, or you don't know. It's all the mystic around. I think it's a kind of a conduct is a little bit as also as a psychology. The moment of psychology in conduct is very important. How you ask people for certain things, encourage them. So it's therefore it started very early for me. The dream was very early, but I understand that this is more as a mysticism, what is around this profession. And of course there is a knowledge and studies and experience and all this together, but it's quite mystic profession, I always think.
Yeah, it is. And you were
really
a trumpet player before.
I was a trumpet player before, yes.
But you wanted to become a conductor, and then you took trumpet, and then you became a trumpet player, and then you became a conductor? Or like, what was the
it was interesting. I was introduced to music very early, and my first real love for music was Richard Wagner's music. When I was 5 years old, I was taken to the opera in Riga, and it was Tannhäuser, and since then I was so somehow impressed and hypnotized by the music, and especially by Wagner's music at that time. Then I really subconsciously wanted to become a conductor, because I wanted to be involved with music in the way conductor is. So it's kind of in this mystical way, you can spoil everything, or you can help. You know, but you don't really play yourself. And I think this kind of being involved in music from the first till last bar was the reason I wanted to become conductor. And that was hearing this opera at the age of 5. But then, of course, it all went to the piano studies. I started to study piano, music school. Then went to trumpet studies and singing studies, and then conducting. Relatively early, age of 15, I started to study conducting, which is, you know, process of combination of technical studies where you would conduct your technique, analysis of score, reading, actually the things you have to do all your life, and so now it's been 20 years probably since I started to study. So I wish to study. Sorry,
you've put in your hours to get to where you are.
Yeah, I know. You have many more hours. Because I think for the
maybe I had a few more years. Yes.
as a you know, I think it's very interesting, because as an instrumentalist, whether it's a violinist, a cellist, or pianist, you have to practice. I mean, with your instrument a lot. But as a conductor, as you don't have an instrument, I mean, your instrument you could say is orchestra, but that's probably a bit selfish to say so, because actually, it is in a way it is your instrument, but it's not really. It is
maybe it's your thoughts that are
it's
your
somehow
instrument.
So your instrument is your body, your thoughts, your ideas, and your everything. What is, and therefore you can't. It's very difficult to practice that. Everything you do in life is practicing conducting. So if you read a book about the music, if you read a book about anything, if you watch a movie about anything, if you experience happiness, unfortunately not great moments in life, all it builds up you as a musician. And but I'm sure it's not only conductors, it's everybody, all as musicians.
Everyone, everything ties in.
Everything ties in, and then it creates the personalities as we are different. and we are changing as well. So
You mentioned that you have to take into consideration what each orchestra is and what they react to. I noticed that you don't show every single little thing. Like you let the orchestra do certain things. You don't have to show them every single beat. But what you do show is very, very clear. And it's more like it's illustrating in advance what you would like them to do. And I'm curious, how do you decide what to leave out of conducting? Because if you're trying to show the beats and you're trying to show every instrument, the phrasing, and you're trying to, you can't, it's impossible to do everything. So everyone has to make these choices, what they don't do on the podium. But with every orchestra being different, like what decision process is that?
Yeah, it is a really, it's very difficult to say, because first thing I think the conductor has to realize, one of the first things is not to disturb music. It's very strange to think that way, but not to disturb music and to trust the people you're working with. Of course, if it's my orchestra, my orchestra, being a music director, where I worked many years, and they know me
right
very well. I know them, so the trust is, of course, very immediate, and the experience. So I know actually I don't need to show. They will, things with the beating. They will play the things like They need help, and things they don't need. I think it's for conductor is rather the inspiration you have to always give. This to create the atmosphere and the fantasy, the fantasy world. Always, if you are boringly beating all the time, you might think it helps, but it doesn't really always help. I think you need to give the thing is the inspiration and just to create the atmosphere, because I think it's so important in music. You can and that is to do different ways. You can do different conductors, the different ways. So some people do more, use the face, arms, body, or talk more or less. This is very personal, but I think
it just develops over time.
It develops over time, of course, as well. And I personally think I don't have so much. I don't differ so much. Of course, music director and guest conductor, I have the same kind of attitude and I would say naive passion about music, whether I work with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra or Boston Symphony or Berlin Philharmonic or Vienna Philharmonic, Concertgebouw, any orchestra. I just try to do the same way to express my idea about the fantasy.
Like to give them the same space, but also give your input as well.
I think it's good. You give your
framework.
You kind of give your the thing is you give your input, but you in the meantime take their input as well. So I don't think it is right for conductor to think, or it is a illusion that you think, well, I have my interpretation, I'm going in front of orchestra, and every orchestra exactly will going to do what you have thought about.
Right.
Of course, you can be a dictator and you can, but I think it's doesn't really work like that, because every orchestra is a little different. I mean, when you go to Berlin Philharmonic, you have this special sound which only they have. Vienna Philharmonic, they have special sound and they are different and they shouldn't be the same. So the interpretation comes, I think, as a combination of their own individualities in the orchestra, which are so great in each orchestra, and your encouragement and how much you can make a hypnosis over them, that they believe in you, or because I think this is a mystic part of the.
It's also the trust issue.
I don't think it's a trust issue very much. If they trust you.
I've seen trust be lost.
Yeah, and
quickly, and I always feel bad when I see that.
No, I think it's exactly
difficult. It's a difficult situation.
Because conductor is,
you want to always build,
like
always become better together.
Because you're going to be very kind of naked in front of them, and it's very easy to, actually, to be honest, it's very easy for any orchestra or any chorus or to insult conductor and to break the conductor down very easily.
Yes.
So
I've seen it happen.
because I think it's therefore you have to, if they feel that you don't trust them, that you are arrogant.
Right.
You think that's terrible. I think they feel and they can show your place very quickly where you are very, so they can do without you. But you know there are also geniuses in the history like Toscanini, Karajan, or who were big dictators, and it worked that way. And it all. But in the meantime, there is people like Leiber or Bruno Walter who were absolutely different. They were in their own. Well, let's say my idol, I would say, is Leiber, or somebody like Janssens, or it's all about the imagination and the fantasy world, and
there's so many ways to communicate that.
And so to communicate, and so it is. There is no right or wrong way exactly. Mm-hmm. It is just whether it inspires, touches you or not. Also with the players, you can't. Sometimes, of course, you can say, well, he or she has a great technique. The sound is so and so. But at the end, these are not the things which exactly go to your heart and touch you. I think this is the personality, which is combination of sound and technique and everything together. It's what makes people say that a special player or that a special player. All they're different. Mm-hmm. Same as the conductors.
Yeah. Well, I have one more question for you, and that's what do you love most about being a conductor or just working with music?
Yes, it is very, very interesting because I was just reading a book about Carlos Kleiber just on our tour in Japan. I got an English translation of his letters.
I was going to say in Japanese.
Yeah, not yet. But and so I'm a bit influenced by that book at the moment. So I might think it differently.
Well, today.
Today, I mean, after our concert tonight, after our tour, I think this is making music. Either way, I think conductor, it's a method. It gives you, I think, the satisfaction, or not doesn't give you. And if it gives you satisfaction for your soul, for your body, or you just feel very happy. It's a feeling of happiness or satisfaction. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't always mean happy, smiling, but it means fulfilled. After it's like you have eaten in a great restaurant. You feel yes, so that was it. And the same is music is for our souls, I think, and I think that thing when conducting, I very often feel that kind of thing, and it's to do, of course, with the with working with people, because I don't, it's not a self thing, so I can't do anything myself. But
there's something special about a concert that
also the concert
allows all of that to happen. But is it also in general?
It's in general. I think it's just feel a sense of satisfaction and connection with higher spirits, whatever it is. I believe in God. I'm a Christian. Some people might be Muslims or whatever religion, but this connection with the higher, it happens through the music somehow. I think the most strong way, like Wagner he wrote in his book. I think it's the highest connection, and easiest and most difficult to explain and unconscious or whatever, is through the music. You can get closer to the God. Somehow, because you can't explain it. It's when you see the picture, the painting, you can explain this is the. Of course, it's also a special thing. You can't, or you read the book. It's more, but when you hear music, it's so subjective, but in the meantime it's
And it's fleeting too.
yes,
It's a constantly developing.
it's constantly developing as well, and
it's there and then it's not there.
and also yeah, and actually that's what you say is interesting because we perform the same pieces over and over again. I mean, theoretically, you would for a person who does a job. Well, I don't want to say that people get bored doing certain jobs, but for example, if you have to go, I don't know.
Some jobs are repetitious.
It's repetition. You know,
ways.
basically there is almost no. How you say? So it's repetition exactly, and there's nothing new, and you always know what you have to do, and you just do it. But in music, that is one of these great things that you do the same piece, and
it seems like
and
it
it's
would be
always
repetitious,
new.
but
Yeah,
it's
it will.
not.
Yeah, but it's not, and you're looking forward to that because you know it. But in the meantime, you're looking forward because you know that it will be different, but you don't know which way exactly. So it's this kind of.
You don't even know within yourself how it's going to be different.
So you can't.
In the moment.
You can't even predict any concert how it's going to be, exactly, unless you are a very technically, you're a very brainy and technically oriented person who rehearses exactly and doesn't change a thing. But I don't think that any musician is like that really. I mean, there are musicians who are more
and
more
it works
as well. Yeah. So, but I think my understanding is that it's. Spontaneity, is it a word?
Mm-hmm. Spontaneity.
So it is a part of the process which makes excitement more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's in a way child naiveness, but it's a combination with experience and so it's like when you see this wonderful Japanese audience, this one person who came. I mean, all of them, but like a child, so, and you think he's so happy,
Emotion.
but he's maybe 65 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So this combination, I'm sure he has heard the pieces since he was 15 or maybe earlier. So he knows all these pieces for 40 years, but he's like a child, and I think this is the feeling. I think what we kind of. It's an experience with a naiveness together, combination. I think what I find very important, like all these, Kleiber or all these geniuses, but they're all different. Again, you can't say that's there are so many musicians, amazing. You just should enjoy and listen to them. And actually, sometimes we analyze too much as well, so we just have to. We can't explain things.
It's ever evolving.
No,
Lots of different things happening all the time.
Yeah, absolutely, I think you sometimes can't explain, and that's a great thing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Great pleasure working with you and talking to you.
Same here.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.